Have you ever wanted to see Magic Mike save Meg Griffin in space? Well, thanks to the Wachowskis, now you can! Why would anyone want to see that? Jupiter Ascending, the story of an ordinary girl who becomes a galactic queen business owner. Yeah. So Jupiter Ascending is about a girl named Jupiter, and yes, although they explain why her name is Jupiter, it's still stupid. I mean, the mythological context alone. The movie stars Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum, and I think I'm allowed to call him Magic Mike because he takes his shirt off for half the movie. So the story is about an ordinary girl named Jupiter who wakes up one day and it turns out she's a space queen because of genetics. Her genetic code matches point for point the old business queen of space, so she's considered a reincarnation. How the fuck that works is beyond me. It's a stupid point regardless, but she's one day attacked and simultaneously rescued, and is told that she is set to inherit Earth, because Earth is basically a giant farming pod. But it turns out that someone named Balin inherited the Earth from the old queen, and now that she has been reincarnated, Jupiter is set to take that away from him. And since Earth is apparently an extremely expensive piece of property, Balin tries to have Jupiter killed so that he doesn't have to lose it. And since Earth is apparently an extremely expensive piece of property, he doesn't want that to happen. So you get this convoluted plot with bounty hunters and bureaucrats, and the whole thing kind of plays off like a slightly improved version of Twilight. I mean, really, it makes sense. Jupiter is kind of a blank slate character who has very little going for herself and does very little to contribute to the plot. I mean, most of it is Channing Tatum going around and saving her. And yet, because she's this blank slate, the audience can come in, put themselves in her place, and live the movie through her. Just like Bella Swan. So the plot's crap, but what about the characters? Well, you have the aforementioned blank slate Jupiter, who does very little to actually capture any attention, and very little to help advance the plot. She is the MacGuffin. And when you actually make a character a MacGuffin, they usually end up pretty goddamn boring. Then you have Channing Tatum's character, who plays this stoic guardian. That's about it. He does get several very good action scenes, and he plays it off well. I mean, he has this pair of hover boots that he gets to skate around in the air with, and although he looks a little ridiculous, the concept is pretty badass. Even more impressive is the giant mech suit that he gets set up with a little more than halfway through the movie, for a very impressive fight scene. Not because of characters, just because of everything else smishing together properly, which we'll get to in a minute. And then you have Balin, who tries to play himself off like he's so threatening and dangerous that he doesn't have to speak above a whisper. Who really just comes off as more of a ponce. I mean, the guy looks like he's anemic, and even though he controls legions of mercenaries and a galaxy-spanning business, he could probably be taken out by a well-armed toddler. But what does the movie have going for it? Well, as I'm sure you've noticed from the trailers, it has very impressive special effects. All of the money was taken away from the script in order to put the money into the special effects budget, and it shows. A lot of the images are very pretty and very complex, and a lot of the settings that they use are given this great depth to them. Plus, there's a fair amount of creativity used in some of the devices. One of the things that really impressed me was this little doorknob that Magic Mike pulled out. See, he attaches it to a solid surface, wall, ceiling, floor, whatever, pushes the button, and it shoots out and starts spinning around, and as it does that, it expands this little web. And once the web is complete, you're able to pass through solid matter. So he's basically carrying around this miniaturized portal gun. And that's awesome. And then there are the jet boots that I mentioned he had before, but at the same time, he looks like Shadow the Hedgehog. I mean, he's running around on hover boots and shooting a gun. Did anyone else see that? He's Shadow the Hedgehog. And if there's anything else I have to praise, it would be the music. I don't know who their music director is, but the man knows what he's doing. There are several scenes in which the music is set up for you, brings in the moment, and then carries you through. It complements everything that's happening and intensifies it. That's exactly what music should do in a movie. So even though you have this grand action scene happening and this intense moment in the script with these impressive visuals, it has characters you don't care about. But because the music is coming along and bringing you with it, you actually get into the scenes a little bit. There's this one moment where you have Channing Tatum and Sean Bean decked out in these big-ass mech suits fighting through this blockade. And even though I don't care about their characters at all, I felt myself really getting into the moment just because of the music. That is some grade A stuff. Well done, whoever you are. There's really not much to the movie. It's a blank slate character going around a better told version of Twilight in space, with not much else going for it. I mean, if you like awesome music and pretty visuals, you might get a kick out of the movie, and I would actually recommend checking out the soundtrack when it comes out. But if you're going for story or character, you're going to be disappointed. At best, I'd say just rent this one. It's certainly not worth the price of a ticket. And special thanks to Pax the Dreamer for helping me come up with a rating system. All I have to do now is come up with a decent outro and I'm set. So have you seen Jupiter Ascending? What did you think about it? Is it disappointing or not? Also, are the Wachowskis just doing a nosedive in terms of quality? Comment below and let me know what you think. Next week, I plan to see Kingsman, and hopefully that one lives up to the hype.